Hey, what's going on, guys? This is your old pal CHH. Have a seat. Let's talk about another Tales from Physical Media. This is one of the best box sets that it's absolutely a crime. Not only was this box set changed, I feel it downgraded. Now, that's not to say that the releases that came out afterwards weren't good, but this box set came, it was available for such a short period of time, and then boom, we never saw it like this again, and it's just a shame. But we have to go back in time. You have to remember the importance of the Halloween 15-disc collection. Now, at the time, that box set was looked at as an absolute masterpiece. The design of the box, the way it was packaged, everything, it was a blueprint for this is how it's done. Now, we've done a video covering that, so I implore you to check that video out if you have not seen it. There was a company I had never heard of. Now, maybe I owned a release or two from them, but the company was called Woes USA. Now, Woes USA is, I think, somewhat of a smaller company, although they have titles that are fairly premier. And at the time, around 2015, not too long after the Halloween box set, might have been even 2016, we got the announcement of a box set for one of the most, I really think, underrated franchises. At least some of the sequels in here are sensational. Phantasm. Now, Phantasm is a Don Coscarelli film that he made in the late 70s, which is also another thing. When you look at Phantasm, I think that is a movie that is up there in the 70s with Texas Chainsaw, Halloween, and Alien. Not saying that it's better than those movies, but I think when you talk 70s horror, especially late 70s, you have to remember Phantasm. But here's the winner about Phantasm, guys. There's a lot of things you can look at. You can look at the Tall Man. You can look at Sphere being this really cool identifier for the franchise. But what I think is the best thing about the Phantasm series is unequivocally the theme song. It is so good. It sets the tone for this almost dreamlike thing more than anything. I really think Elm Street fans would be big Phantasm fans, because while they're not the same thing, there's something in the DNA that feels like you're right at home. Whether it be that the Tall Man is this otherworldly creature, alien, bizarro thing, the way Freddy is, there's very much a dreamlike nature to the movies, especially 1 and 2. And yeah, I think Elm Street fanatics would love that. But let's get into the meat and potatoes of what this video is about, guys. So they announced this box set. Until this very day, I think this is the best box set in my collection. And we're going to take a look at it. The collection I'm talking about is the initial Phantasm Woes USA box set. When you look at this thing, it screams perfection. It is a beautiful hard shell box. It features the films on individual discs. And on the back, embossed into the back, not one of those paper things that you can pull off, on the back of the box set is all the listings of the features. That's something I have never seen done before or really since. You know, a lot of times when you get box sets, you know, you have the features on the back, but it's like a sheet, like I'm saying. And there's those little glue tab things that come off pretty easily on the box set. But I love the fact that this one, it's just a part of it. That way I don't have to put in a disc to remember what's going on, or feel like going through the trouble of looking online because I don't feel like going through the trouble putting the disc in. I can look right on the back and see all the listings. So yeah, this box set blew me away. Now, when it came out, this was an interesting thing as well. There was another company that had the rights to one of the Phantasm films, which was Phantasm 2. And Scream Factory had the release at the time. Interestingly enough, I was having a hard time finding Phantasm 2 on Blu-ray. I wanted it very badly because, spoiler alert, my favorite Phantasm film of all time is Phantasm 2. I actually think Phantasm 2 is an incredible sequel. Everything about it is bigger, badder, better. I don't mind the replacement of Michael, but you know, we'll get on that, more of that in a minute. So this box set is gorgeous, guys. I think it is just all that and a bag of chips. So let's take out the discs and look at them. And I'll talk to you about why this box set is so good and why some of the box sets after this pale in comparison. You know, here's your disc 1. Now, you had other art on here, which was basically a sphere that had a number, movie 1, movie 2. But what was so perfect about this was, number 1, the clear cases. I think the clear cases work really good because it's very much akin to you know, like the Sphere. It reminds you of the Sphere. But this artwork on here, you can't beat the classic Phantasm poster. There's something about the classic Phantasm poster that I think just screams perfection. And that was great. I think this was the 4K remaster Blu-ray. It's hard to say. It doesn't say on the back. It just says full 1080p. But I think the Blu-ray that I had for the movie came out before this. So maybe this was the 4K remaster of the film. But got a beautiful disc art on there. Everything looks like a sphere. So there's that. Phantasm 2. Right away, I love that artwork. That artwork is perfection to me. This summer, the ball is back. So the guy that became like the head of Universal at the late 80s was a big horror fan. So that's why not only did Phantasm come back, but Phantasm, he bought the rights to Child's Play after MGM caught a bunch of flack because parents were like, you're ruining dolls for kids, that sort of thing. So Universal was killing it in the late 80s with horror. They also did Jaws the Revenge. They were bringing back a lot of cool stuff. So this is a Scream Factory release. It even says on the spine, I know it's very, very small, but it actually says Scream Factory on there. So they licensed out, excuse me, no they didn't, because I learned this from Cliff McMillan, so I'm assuming this was the same thing that this company did. For instance, on the Halloween 15-disc box set, they straight up had to just buy a ton of discs from Lionsgate to then house the movies themselves in a box set. So they probably bought a number of copies of Phantasm 2 for this box set to put out. That I can only speculate about that, though. I can't say that's for sure, because the difference is on Phantasm 2, this is a different disc. This is not the way the Scream Factory disc looked like. So I actually can't verify that, but I'm just saying that's what they did with the Rob Zombie films in the Halloween box set. So it's hard to say. They may have gotten discs and just done new labels for them, but maybe not. I don't know. But what's good? The good thing about this being the Scream Factory disc, guys, is this was when Scream Factory had to make a name for themselves, so they're putting all the great special features they could. Angus Scrimm was on here, Don Coscarelli. The making of Phantasm 2 was on this, and it was fantastic. It has since had a 4K scan uncut version. This is not this, so this is why this box set has one flaw, in my opinion, which is that. But at the time, I don't think that was a thing that was ever out. Ah, yes. A great Phantasm sequel, guys, Lord of the Dead. Phantasm 3, the return of Michael A. Baldwin back in here as Michael. Reggie is still great as always. A good movie. I think it's good. I don't think it's great. I think it's good. But yeah, this is a gorgeous Blu-ray and a good film. This is very much an early 90s Phantasm movie, and they did a great job on that. So moving on, guys. Phantasm 4 Oblivion. Came out in the late 90s and actually has some good stuff in it. People criticize this movie because they use a lot of old footage that was never released from the first Phantasm. But the plus side is they use footage that you never saw in the first Phantasm movie. So it's new for this movie. But people can still see that as lazy. But I think Don had no money for this at the time. But there's an incredible evil cop sequence against Reggie in this movie that is good enough for the price of admission. If you haven't seen Oblivion because you've heard a lot of bad about it, I say check it out. I'm not saying it's great, but I think it's pretty good. And that sequence alone is worth the price of admission. It's the evil cop and Reggie scene. So, yeah, and they even feature that heavily on the back of here. So, Phantasm 4, not great, but not bad either. I think it's pretty good. This is where they include the latest movie, Phantasm Ravager. I'm not going to be too critical about this movie. I'm not a fan of this movie. I don't think it's good enough, quite frankly. But it is what it is. It is what it is. It's very sad seeing Angus Scrimm in here because he was very, very, very old at this point. So he was kind of bedridden. So it really is just more painful to watch it than anything. But yeah, there it is, guys. That's Phantasm Ravager. Said they did this perfectly. They gave us a beautiful big book with all kinds of information in it, and it's a nice, easy read. I remember reading this the day I got it, and it covers all the movies. So the book is cool, and I love the fact that they give you the intro to Phantasm 1 with the definition on there. And last but not least, they give us this beautiful poster. Let's see, look at this, guys. I feel like it's actually a pretty big poster as well. Yeah, so I think that the first Blu-ray was the remastered version. It was, because look, they got this big poster in here. This thing is big, of the remastered poster art, and the other side is the artwork that the box set is. So this is a perfect box set. I mean, it's a truly perfect box set. So what happened was, this box set, guys, it came out and it was very, very limited. Now I can understand why. This was probably an expensive thing for Well Go USA to do at the time, and they made this limited, and it sold like hotcakes. I mean, I remember I have a video of me finding this at FYE at the time, and it was a big deal, and I snatched it up, and until this very day, I think this is the best box that I have. I really do. If not the best, one of them. Because it's done so perfectly. I love, you get the original spine arts, the original posters. All the info is on the back, which is silly for some people to be like, well, okay, Christian, but to me, that's just really convenient. I don't have to pull the movies out. I can straight up look at something to see if there was a certain feature on there. If somebody asks about it, I can just glance at it right away and let you know. So, incredible. I think it's a great box set. So, they re-released this box set that came with a little plastic sphere in it, but the packaging of it, I don't think is nearly as good. Now, it's a good box set. Now, one thing that those box sets had that this didn't was they did give you an uncut 4K scan version of Phantasm 2. Now, that is a great way to watch the film. I now own that version, but this is where disaster struck. So during this time, or a little bit after this, Well Go USA announced they were going to do a double pack of Phantasm 1 and 2 together. They were both going to be 4K scans, and Part 2 was going to be the uncut 4K scan. And not only that, Phantasm 1 was going to have new features. I pre-ordered that Well Go USA 2-pack. I'll show a picture of the 2-pack right now. And when I got it, not only was it missing the features on Part 1, it was not the 4K scan version of Part 2. So then you had to do a disc replacement program, which was more difficult than the other company at the time. And then not only that, guys, it took forever for me to get it, and I still don't even know if you buy it now if it comes with the right disc. This was about 3 years ago, so hopefully it could. But, you know, that was a mess. But I think by now, if you got that 1 and 2 pack, which I have it, I got it for the uncut version of Part 2, it's still good. But looking back, guys, this was the perfect box set at the perfect time, and I really wish Well Go USA would just say, okay, let's do this again. And you can even update Part 2 for the fans, because you don't get much better than this. So guys, I just wanted to come in and say, if you haven't seen this box set before, check this out, man. See if you can find it at a okay price online, because I think it doesn't get much better than this. So this is a story of one of the greatest box sets that came and went. See you guys next time.
Huge giant thank you to all of my Patreon supporters. Without you guys, this would not be possible. To get behind the scenes photos, videos, music, private live streams, and much more, you can subscribe to my Patreon for as little as $1 a month. Thank you to my patrons.